Hello, beautiful people. Mic check, mic check. How you doing? Good to see you this Thursday morning. You got the right idea. Let's tell all the people. Hit that like button. Share this live. It is good to see you. Shout out to everybody who's watching. Shout out to the replay gang. Sorry you couldn't be here. But you're right here. You're thought of. Shout out to all the members, subscribers, and supporters in all of the places. And shout out to the best mod squad on the internet, holding it down. Hello, Halima, Pamela, Jewel, Chris with a K, old school Gemini. Good to see you. Pip pip. Yaz or Yaz, good to see you. Q Smooth, Black Diamond, Hempsism, Boy Pal. My eyes are still waking up. So that says Bay Pal. Sorry. I think it says boy. I think that's an O. Child. Kaylee, how you doing? Marshall Irons, hello. Fizza. Hello. Kyrie, good to see you. Willie, good to see you. Dirt Nasty Sanchez. Hey. Good to see you. We are back from the desert space oasis of the orange hue. That is gone. Is this not a chair? Good to see you. I fixed it again. Shout out to everybody who's here. Got a nice little group showing up. Hit the like button, share the live. I mean, it's a great day. We had a beautiful parade. No major incidents. And we are the champions, my friends. Yes, we are. Walter, hello. Are you looking forward to it, Walter? I am looking forward to it. I am. Maddie, hello. Rhea, hello. I'm back in full effect, baby. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, let's recap. Bring us up to date of where we are right now. Drake sued UMG. His lawsuit was dismissed. He filed an appeal. We read my eye immediately started twitching soon as I started talking about Drake. It ain't twitched not once all morning. I've been up since 6 o'clock. I ain't had nary an eye twitch. As soon as I said that boy's name, my eyes started twitching. Mannyplex, good to see you. Belize, hello. Okay. Yeah. So, we read Drake's brief on January 22nd, I believe. It's February 12th. So not quite a month ago, we gathered and we read Drake's brief to the appellate court. Lots of but lots of that. skipping over very specific time frames in the history of law where very specific rulings, not in his favor, have been made to the highest applicable courts already. Okay, skipped over all of that. So this morning, I was pleasantly surprised to see that UMG had filed something on the appellate docket. And if you're wondering what this is a PDF of the appellate docket. Just so I can keep track of what it is I'm talking about. So, just to back up a little bit more, okay. In December of last year, I know it feels like a long time ago. It wasn't. It was just a little bit ago, okay? Ain't even been 90 days, child. Tell him, old school Gemini, thank you very much. Starting the live off in a good way. Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe, beautiful people. Yeah, help us get to 20,000. That'll be fun. A nice little celebration of that. December 2025. Drake and UMG go to mandatory mediation. It's built into the appellate process very early on. And the goal of that is to figure out if can they resolve anything, everything, but more to the point, can they resolve anything with relation to the appeal? Like, does everything have to be appealed? Can something be settled? Does nothing have to be appealed? They didn't agree on nothing. Okay. It's just a procedural step. They didn't agree on nothing. And then Drake filed his brief for appeal and put everything in it. Okay. I'm appealing everything. And Drake had 3 claims. Okay. Defamation, harassment in the 2nd degree, and violation of New York general business law, if I'm remembering correctly. Lucchini, good to see you, beautiful. Oh, no, I definitely don't think that at all. Why why would you say something so un-American? Why would you say something so un-American? I wanted the Patriots to win. Apparently, you, the Orange Man, and Kid Rock all have something in common. Congratulations. This is exactly right. That didn't sound like nothing Beyonce or her wig would say. Nothing. Nothing. And Drake. And Drake. That's right. Drake also bet $1 million. Maybe it was house money. Who knows? But the sports betting curse continues. Tiffany, hello. Where you been? Where you been? It's hit several. Where have you been? It's too easy. I hope Drake's insider betting hits a docket. It's hit several. Misrepresenting the Queen's hair installation on this channel? Whoo, baby. Oh, maybe it will. Maybe it will. Niecy, I just know when the teams find out the plaintiff, not the plaintiff. If I have to write a third book about this man, remember when I asked y'all to give me, okay, what are the Drake nicknames? And then I put them in the book. If I have to write a third one, the plaintiff is going to be on the list. Just be talking to somebody who's talking about Drake. They'd be like, oh, yeah, man, Drake did. You'd be like, the plaintiff? Is that who you're talking about? Mr. Sues a lot or gets sued a lot. Oh, the plaintiff is hilarious. Oh, God. Okay, so pull it together, chat. Pull it together. This is serious. This is Drake's appeal. He takes it very seriously. You're interrupting. Tales from Purgatory. Good to see you, beautiful. Champagne Plaintiff might be in there. There's a couple different. Maybe it was Champagne Paperwork. I don't know. Supac might have made it in there too. Somebody out there got the book. Pull it open. You know what they are. Okay. All right. Now focus, damn it. Plaintiff Poppy is a good one. Oh, that's creepy. So many. And I distinctly recall going back and like I had some, and then we had a conversation, and then I added more. And then I distinctly remember at some point in time, some distance from them, going back and watching that live, like, nah, let me pull some more from the chat. Let me pull some more from the chat. He must have filed something that pissed me off. I think it was when he filed the motions to gain access to Kendrick's unredacted contract, and he slipped in some shit in there about Kenny's kids. I think that was the point where I was like, I can make room. I can make room to add to the list. The classic. Oh, it definitely made it in. Plaintiff Poppy is fantastic. I think there might have been a BBL in there. I think I might have added one of those. Because at first I was like, let me just stick to what is like specifically, clearly like a snap on the law. And then I was like, nope, let's pile on. He brought up that man's kids. I said, let's pile everything on. Miss Kofi, good to see you. Oh, Lord have mercy. All right, now. Okay, we're going to focus. We read this boy's little brief, okay? We read this boy's little brief 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago. Because we're all learning together. I caught this at the time, but I didn't necessarily understand all the implications from it and exactly what it was that Drake was saying. Or exactly what it was Drake was trying to do. I understood what he was saying, but exactly what it was he was trying to do. But now, as I said, woke up this morning, Christmas, day after the Super Bowl parade, Santa said, here, Apsa, here's a nice little housewarming Valentine's Day gift for you. Wink, wink, mods. So now we have greater context, and we have a little bit of shade from UMG, who's like, this motherfucker is holding on to this beef and trying to drag out things unnecessarily. And his interpretation of the law is irrelevant. It's what the law actually says. So when Drake filed his brief to the appellate court, he said that there is an aspect of his appeal that should actually, remember, this is a federal case, federal judges. He said, well, there's a part of it that I think that should go to New York State Supreme Court because it's a New York law, and that is for second-degree harassment. Second-degree harassment is a crime. Okay, the statute is under penal code. Drake tried to take that and put it in a civil lawsuit. And the court said, no, you cannot do that. There's no private, meaning person in a civil matter, right of action, file a claim, which he did. Your venue's over here. Oh, you feel harassed. Oh, do you want to file a police report? It's basically what UMG 616 in the courtroom. I love this so much. Everybody say, hey, we are deciphered. So yeah, as this was going on in the litigation of the lawsuit and before Drake filed, we learned, they were going back and forth. Lawyers entered the chat pretty much right after Not Like Us dropped, right? And which is long before the lawsuit was actually filed. So we learn a lot about, their efforts and what their accusations are with regard to each of the things, defamation, harassment, and so forth. So, but that was, UMG was telling Drake several things, but two things in particular. You got a problem with this song? You gonna have to step to that Bompton assassin and sue him. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They told him that several times. You got a problem with the song? You gonna have to take it up with that boy over there. West Coast, Best Coast. Yeah. That's number one. Number two, are you concerned for your safety? You should call the police. You don't think so? You don't think so? Okay. So anyway, this issue about whether or not for second-degree harassment under New York law, you can take that into a civil action, has largely been settled legally. Okay. It's because several things have arisen to state appellate court. Okay. And been settled that way. But Drake's like, well, no, but I want to go to this court over here in New York and have them take a gander, maybe reconsider whether or not, maybe clarify what it was that they actually meant. And it's like, it's clarified. It's right. It's established. Just be yapping. Thank you for the $5 contribution. Just be yapping. Day 764 of As the Lawsuit Turns. Aubrey's still getting dragged by his lace front. Child. This is, yeah. Oh, this is a good one. UMG. If you scared, go to church. I mean, who could forget? Who could forget? Oh, man. I'm gonna remember that document for the rest of my life. Um, so Drake Drake's appeal is over here, okay? It's probably gonna get heard by a panel of 3. It's over here. He wants to take one part of his appeal out and send it to a different court over here. And pause his appeal. What do you think the estimated wait time is for that other court to decide if they have anything they would like to revisit, let alone revisit it, let alone make a ruling? You can do it. You can do it in extraordinary circumstances. That's not specific enough. Them recyclable straws, boy. Whew. $8 months to 2 years. So that is the motion for certificate of appealability on behalf of appellant Aubrey Drake Graham. So he is motioning the court to formally certify that this issue needs to go back to a different court. Okay. And what the court does is they send that motion to the judges who are ultimately responsible for hearing this appeal. And it's up to them to decide whether or not they're going to extract that issue and send it over to a different court and stay this process until that other court. We just be out here living our lives. Minding our good business. He keeps reminding us. He keeps reminding us. So I have skimmed this, and we are going to, jump over any unnecessary case law. Alongside his appellate brief challenging the dismissal of his complaint in full for failure to state a claim, plaintiff plaintiff Aubrey Drake Graham has moved to certify to the New York Court of Appeals a question related to the dismissal of the second of his complaint's 3 claims, whether New York's second-degree harassment statute contains an implied private right of action. He seeks the extraordinary relief of certification, despite that the appellate division of the New York Supreme Court has squarely held that the statute does not. So I got it backwards. He wants to send it to, I said he wants to send it to the Supreme Court. He wants to send it to the state appellate court. It has already been decided at the appellate court of the state Supreme Court level. That's what I pulled from it. I'm doing my best, Tom. I'm doing my best. And then they also point out this court has denied certification of a closely related question. Drake's motion for certification is a baseless, last-ditched attempt to drag out litigation against UMG Recordings, Inc., among other things. The motion barely acknowledges the appellate division authority, ignores this court's prior decision rejecting certification in a similar context, skirts the New York Court of Appeals test for implying a private right of action, and instead relies on a smattering of trial court decisions. But those trial court decisions fail to acknowledge the appellate division authority or the governing test, and instead blindly rely on dicta, ambiguous dicta at that, in a decision by this court in 1973, thus predating the governing test by more than a decade. So what is dicta? Dicta is comments made by the court in the process of their ruling or their order, but not significant to their decision. Dicta is in the course of their ruling, they said these things, but those things aren't central to the ruling that they made. They're just on the record. So he's relying on a smattering of adjectives, right? But not the nouns type vibes. And more to the point, he has skipped over a decade of established case law at the highest levels of the New York court system that are not favorable to him and what it is that he's asking for. Grasping at notes written in the margins. We're growing here. We're growing here, okay? You must not be familiar with the level of specificity in which we talk about things of a sexual nature on this channel. Angie, the lady, says he's going to fight this until he either runs out of money or physically can't. Yeah, you got to be more clever with your lewdness on this channel. Because it works for him. It is a great rhetorical question. You want to add time to this whole process? You want to add 8 months to a year plus to this whole process? Now, let's remember, this isn't a given. There is a step in between saying, I want this thing, and it going to the other court, which is the court that has it now, the judges that will be responsible for deciding his appeal, look at what it is that he's asking for and say yes or no. And this is UMG saying, no. No. That's not what it says. which is a common practice in reading UMG's responses to things that Drake has filed on the docket since day one. Is UMG coming back and saying, Your Honor, Josh Johnson, that's not what it says. Damn. Not war veterans still fighting. Oh, man. Oh, man. He about that life. He about that life. I saw his name on the front of this document earlier, and I was like, hello, darkness, my old friend. I know you about to murk this boy a good one. They get in a couple swipes. It is very legalese, but they definitely get in a couple swipes at Drake. They said this boy imagining shit. But we'll get there. Oh. Aw, shucks. Thank you, beautiful. I appreciate you. And I would have to agree with your assessment. Aw, shucks. Thanks. Y'all making me feel special. This is great because the chat was cracking on me the last live, which was fine. You know, it was fine. I didn't take notes or anything. It's fine. Okay. So Drake jumps over a decade worth of case law, relying on a smattering of, notes in the margins in a decision by the court in 73, predating the governing test by more than a decade. So this is just going through and saying what the intent of the New York legislature was in the creation of harassment in the second degree underneath the penal code, and whether or not a private right of action is implied or the intent of, right? One of the issues is that if there is a law that for some reason, what's the language? Doesn't have some kind of enforcement provision, that could be a factor for whether or not then a private right of action could, right? Like, this thing was violated, but there's no enforcement behind that really. But over here, it could be enforced. And what UMG is saying, well, in this case, it is enforceable. Again, your feelings hurt. You want to call 911? You want to call non-emergency? File a complaint, get you a little case number. You go ahead and do that. There's law enforcement there to be able to investigate that. There is, there are violations of law that somebody could be charged with. They could, whatever, be given a fine, go to trial, go to who knows, but there's something there that is enforceable. You would be considered the victim, right? And so you're benefiting from that over there. But he said, no, I want to sue in civil court. I'm not going to block you. The chat's been pumping me up, so you can stay. I'll take a screenshot of this later. I'm just kidding. So they're like, this is already dealt with over here. It does not need to come over here. And that is what the lower court determined when they dismissed Drake's lawsuit. And then also, if there was a private right of action for this statute, it would obliterate the limits on liability for claims like intentional infliction of emotional distress and assault. There's no indication that the legislature intended such a result. So let's remember that this is not UMG's brief on the appeal overall. They are just addressing Drake trying to take this piece of it out and have them move it over to another court. So their brief to the court on the appeal overall, we read Drake's already last month. That comes in March, I'm pretty sure. So they referenced that. As will be discussed further in UMG's merits brief, this case concerns the hit diss track Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar, which provided Lamar with the metaphorical killing blow in his highly public rap feud with Drake. A judge did say that, and that's why it's in quotations. Afterwards, Drake then misdirected his focus away from Lamar and sued UMG because it published and promoted the song. What did I say? UMG told him two things. You want to call the po-po about this song? You go ahead and do that. You mad the song exists, was written? You're going to have to sue that man. You're going to have to sue him. Oh my God. Dropping knowledge bombs. Victim rap has always been his thing. He's a whiny little bitch. I mean, facts. Mm, mm, mm. Oh gosh. Wow. Rude. Thanks, friend. I'm glad y'all got it off. Chase says, wow. Again, with every whiny thing Aubrey does, I'm reminded why no woman dates him more than once. Ooh, boy. As will be discussed further in UMG's merits brief, this case concerns the hit diss track Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar, which provided Lamar with the metaphorical killing blow in his highly public rap feud with Drake. Afterwards, Drake then misdirected his focus away from Lamar and sued UMG because it published and promoted the song. The second of Drake's three claims was a supposed implied private right of action premised on violation of New York's second-degree criminal harassment statute. The statute reads as follows. A person is guilty of harassment in the second degree when, with intent to harass, annoy, or alarm. Remember how Drake kept saying, remember how they kept using the word annoy? This is because it's law, baby. He was emotionally and legally annoyed. It's crazy. But I get it, though. A person is guilty of harassment in the second degree when, with intent to harass, annoy, or alarm another person, 1. He or she strikes, shoves, kicks, or otherwise subjects such other person to physical contact or attempts or threatens to do the same. Remember the wop, 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 wop? They said that those were acts of violence. For those of you who just said, what the fuck did she just say? I tell not a word of a lie. Where you been? I tell not a word of a lie. First of all, they counted the wops wrong. But second of all, and more to the point, his lawyer said wop, 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 I think. Anyway, threats of violence and that the song song cover, the image, the map with the red icons, that was a de facto map, okay, for Kendrick to communicate out how to find Drake's house. Because prior to that, it was such a fucking mystery. So yeah, wop, 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 wop. Threats of violence. 2, he or she follows a person in or about a public place or places. I mean, I guess when people were screaming lyrics at him out in public, he felt like he was being haunted. Is that it? I mean, I could technically think of an example, an applicable example, in Drake's rationale. Number 3, he or she engages in a course of conduct or repeatedly commits acts which alarm or seriously annoy such other person and which serve no legitimate purpose. And he said explicitly in his lawsuit that UMG's ongoing promotion of Not Like Us, particularly after alleged things happened at his house, served no legitimate purpose. None. They only promoted the song to fuck with Drake. That's the only reason. Not money. None of that. No, not money. Just to fuck with Drake. And that they blatantly disregarded his safety and had no concern over him being assaulted, and I quote, or worse. Drake said, UMG trying to get me killed. I said it's a good song. Okay, so then they go back through and talk about what they originally argued in their motion to dismiss, that there is no private right of action. And they go through and they break down, that whole decade that Drake skips over of legal implication. They go through and break down the 3-part test for implied right of action. Okay? That's what this is. And basically, the legislature considered and expressly provided for enforcement mechanisms in the statute itself, which is penal, not civil. Sorry. And there's a bunch of case law to back that up, and they quote that. And despite all of that, Drake now moves to have this court certify the question of whether the penal law provides a private right of action to the New York Court of Appeals. This court referred Drake's motion to the merits panel that will hear his appeal. The panel should deny this motion and affirm the dismissal of the complaint in full. Their argument is certification is an exceptional procedure. As this court has explained, issues of state law are not to be routinely certified to the highest court of New York simply because a certification procedure is available. The procedure must not be a device for shifting the burdens of this court to those whose burdens are at least as great. Because it is our job to predict how the forum state's highest court would decide the issues before us, we will not certify questions of law where sufficient precedents exist for us to make this determination. Certification increases at times enormously the expenses incurred by the parties, as it requires at least two additional rounds of appellate review and inevitably delays the resolution of the case, sometimes for well more than a year. And then they go through three-pronged test for what the court considers for certification. We're going to skip over all of that. We're just going to get to the hit him again. Drake effectively concedes, and the court below recognized every New York appellate court to consider the question has rejected the harassment right of action. Whether or not Drake finds these appellate decisions persuasive or believes they contain enough reasoning is not the issue. Under this court's certification test and under this court's longstanding Erie precedent more generally, these appellate division cases provide ample grounds for rejecting Drake's motion out of hand. They're like, you don't even really have to think about it very hard. This is not complicated. This court has declined certification where state precedent in the form of directly on point appellate divisional case law is adequate to resolve an issue. There is simply no foundation for contending that there is any basis, let alone persuasive evidence, that the Court of Appeals would depart from these decisions, especially given its settled test for assessing the existence of an implied right of action. And there's even less reasoning to take the extraordinary step of certifying a question not subject to disagreement in the intermediate appellate courts. They're just going through and just knocking out case law in context. And it's very wonky and insider baseball. And baby, we ain't on the diamond. So I'm skipping over that. They are constantly pointing out where Drake slices case law, and we've talked about this a lot. They're like, yes, yes, in a case cited by Drake, it actually, excuse me, it actually says this. Drake's merits brief only briefly argues that an implied right of action is consistent with the New York test. He claims that a comprehensive enforcement scheme is required, but he cites no case law that actually imposes a comprehensiveness requirement. And in fact, there is no requirement. It is now well established that where a statutory scheme contains private or public enforcement mechanisms, this demonstrates that the legislature considered and decided what avenues of relief were appropriate. So this is them trying to sway their review panel that they should deny Drake this attempt. Having largely dodged the cases and principles that actually matter, Drake relies on selected trial court decisions, largely from federal courts and largely predating the appellate cases noted above, to claim there is a division of authority on this issue that makes certification appropriate. Consistent with Drake's primary cited authority, these cases largely stem from an ambiguous footnote in previous case law, a case from a different era of private right of action jurisprudence in New York and the federal system. They said he dusted off an old, outdated book. And then they go through it and rip his argument to shreds, basically. And he's using that to suggest a lot, but that's not what is actually in that case. The split in authority that Drake claims to exist is imagined. The appellate division cases are uniform. They are supported by how the Court of Appeals precedent would require applying its implied right of action test to penal law. And even the outlier trial court cases Drake identifies skip past the relevant authorities and tests. Drake's claim that there is no indication that subsequent New York Court of Appeals decisions overruling the case that he's relying on is utterly fantastic. Oh, God. They said, wow, you just making some shit up. They're responding to more. Okay. What Drake actually seeks to do is substitute his policy judgment for the legislature. For example, Drake says that harassment is a serious social ill, but he should plead that case to the legislature, which made the law which made penal law in question a violation, which is less serious than a misdemeanor. So they're like, if you want to apply this to something that it is not applicable to. And if you want to see that change happen for your moral interpretation of what is a societal ill, you should go lobby the New York legislature to change the law. They're the ones that defined it this way. That's not something we do here. Wrong forum. Wrong forum. Very good, Demetrius. He lives in La La Land, Your Honor. Utterly fantastic is wonderful. I have used fantastic. I had a British mentor at one point in time that I learned a lot from in terms of language, and they used fantastic as an insult one time, and I was like, my understanding of the word has changed forever. I'd never looked up the definition of the word of fantastic. That was the first time I looked up the word of the definition fantastic. And yes, I do use it in a professional context to describe not good things. Yep, fantastic. Derogatory. So yeah, Drake says, well, harassment is a serious social ill. Okay, well, go lobby for tighter laws, boy. Why are you here? So the last thing that they say is Drake is wrong on the conclusions of his arguments. And that is that on that. Drake, I would be remiss if I didn't point out that Drake has filed a reply to this response. And he basically says, we're not even going to go through it. It just basically, but what about, but no, because, but if you look at it this way, well, if you stand over here and close one eye and look at it this way, that's basically what it says. And baby, we ain't got time for that. Drake is a bitch ass nigga. I don't know what else to say. I'm so sorry if this is your first time and you feel like this is really aggressive. Babe, catch up, okay? We're way past aggressive, okay? We're way past aggressive. Um my opinion is that, and I know that, we skipped a lot because we're not about to read a legal textbook here. That's basically what it is, right? Um Nevertheless, I feel like Drake is probably gonna get denied this request. And just for our own sanity's sake, I hope he is, because boy, what you mean you wanna set this aside for a year? You want them to just not do anything on your appeal and wait for this? Also, what would preclude them from a both and? I don't necessarily understand that. Like, the appellate court that is actually before could say, "Okay, fine, he came up with some merit to send this piece of it over there. We're gonna send this piece of it over there and wait for that to come, but until then, we're gonna continue to proceed with the docket schedule that we have set for this appeal." I don't know if that is even a thing, but nevertheless, I'm just like, I know why we're here, but I can't help asking Drake, why are we here? I know why we're here, but it's so maddening that we're here. Well, baby, that's what hypocrites do. That's what misogynistic, hypocritical pieces of shit do. He wants a massive amount of money. We've talked about this, right? We've talked about this. Um, and that's why every time his lawyers file something, they update the numbers. They update all the streaming numbers, all the TikTok numbers, all the Instagram numbers, all the reactors. They just keep updating all the information, because, they want damages. And if this song, was streamed 40 billion times and Drake says, I want 50 cents per stream. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So he's doing this because it works for him. And, like any gambler, in his mind, there is a world in which he could technically win. Nisi, weird question, and I don't know if you can answer it. Is this something that happens in Canada courts and he thinks he can apply that here, or is he just being a nincompoop? Canada courts don't apply, period. Period, period, period. And Canadian courts are derived from French courts. And they certainly have much more stringent civil processes for holding somebody accountable for what it is that they said. But he can't sue in Canada. So Canada doesn't have jurisdiction over the people in this case or entities, including UMG. Hello, beautiful. So, I mean, here we are. It's still going. So yes, he has replied to this. They will, review it and make a decision. I have no idea what the turnaround time is on this. Remember, this is, we opened a new part of our world map when we crossed over into the Court of Appeals. So we're learning the terrain together. And I do know that they can take a long time with stuff. Just they're busy. They got a lot of stuff going on. This is not a case that's on an expedited docket for any reason. So who knows how long it's going to take for them to decide that. They may it could happen tomorrow. It could happen a week from now. It could happen 6 months from now. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But the next thing that I know is going to happen for sure is like I said in March. Is in March. Mhm. Yeah. March 27th. UMG will file its brief on the entire appeal, and we will gather and read what it is that they have to say about, what Drake is appealing for, which is everything. He's appealing everything. Yeah, because here's the thing, there will be people, we know who they are. Mal, there will be people who, if by some, I don't know, if he somehow wins this appeal, right? It goes back down to the lower court. That doesn't mean that his case can't still be ultimately dismissed. Okay, there are a couple other procedural things that would have to happen. So, yeah, but this situation aside, which is Drake trying to remove something to a different court. That aside, let's say this isn't happening. This process of an appeal is a solid year. If there are no side quests, okay, and it just goes off of the calendar that has been set so far, and Drake filed his brief in January, right? That's kind of officially when the timeline starts. He filed his notice of appeal after his case was thrown out last year. But he filed his first real meaningful, which is here's my argument, right? Here's my at bat last month. And so that's really when the clock starts. If there are no side quests and it just goes as a simple appeal, we won't get a decision from judges until the end of 2026, potentially the beginning of 2027. Anyway, right? So what he's saying is let's not just that would make it a 2-year process at the very minimum. If he gets this motion, which is take this piece out, send it over here, and pause this whole appeal shit, that could take over a year. Then they make their decision, send whatever back to the court that has Drake's appeal, and then it resumes again. That's going to take the rest of another year. Good Lord. Hello, beautiful. I mean, pretty much any reputable ex he ever had dismissed him. Yeah. I'm going to reword that into the repeated L's that he is responsible for, right? Because rejection is perceived to be an external thing and things that other people do to you. And then they somehow have some culpability to your journey into the pipeline, when in fact, it's your own actions. You grease your own ass into the pipeline of incelship. And Drake's been doing that for years. Years. I Oh, baby, he does it to himself. Nobody else is doing it to him. Nobody is doing anything to Drake. He does it to himself. He does not listen to advice. He does not have real professionals who did real work before him. He goes by what he wants, not what he needs. Boy is strategy deficient. Impulse control lacking. And he doesn't listen. He was told the minute he opened his mouth. I remember when a mentor said to me, I said something out loud and she looked me straight in my face with the most pleasant smile. And she's got a gorgeous smile, just a beautiful woman. And she looked face bright, looked at me, beautiful smile. And she said, I am so glad you said that out loud because you are absolutely wrong. The moment Drake said out loud, I think I'm going to respond to that assassin from the West Coast, everybody said to him in his, you shouldn't do that. You should not do that. Septic, thank you, beautiful, for the 20-pound contribution. Baby, we just assume he don't bet nothing that has to do with his own money. I feel like his betting is probably exclusive to whoever he has contracts with. So I don't think Drake bets his own money for much of anything that we know publicly. That's my personal opinion. So he was told, don't do that, don't do that. Don't do that. This is a man who sued to get out of a wheelchair.
I study rap battles for a living.
The hell? Call me Wayne. Maybe it's not in your best interest to disrespect a legend like Tupac Shakur and diss one of the greatest rappers to ever touch a mic. Nobody told you to keep that ring. Nobody told you to do that. You decided. And since your soul is decrepit, that ring is not a blessing to your life, baby. It's a curse. It's a curse to your life. And you deserve it. Kind of a dick. He sued to get out that chair. Very real. Better quit playing. Better quit playing. You're going to invoke the voice of a dead king. And that very voice came back to haunt you in the judge's order to dismiss your lawsuit. I mean, I don't know what else to say. That should have been when you walk away, other way. Baby, nobody can protect you from the ancestors. Always a lame. The fact that I had to write about this incident in a book in a serious way was not on my bingo card of life. It was not on my bingo card of life. Hello, beautiful. Poison Ivy says, a lot of Aubrey's beefs stem from him collecting culturally relevant items like he's a museum in England, Pac's ring, Push's mic, and Pharrell's jewelry. He has a critical thinking issue. Oh, he's got a couple issues, but he's definitely got a critical thinking issue. That boy dumb. I'm convinced. Drake dumb. Yeah. But again, what's my motto? Never underestimate stupid people with a plan. Ever. Ever. That will be to your detriment. Because stupid people will fuck themselves over to try and make you fail, which means they don't have self-preservation instincts, which means they're more likely to do things that are outside of the unwritten rules of engagement for social norms. And in this context, that means the unwritten rules of hip hop. This is why I don't fuck with stupid people, because stupid people are reckless, dangerous people who cannot be reasoned with, especially if they didn't come up with the reasoning themselves, because their ego is in the way. If they didn't think of it first, they're even more resistant to it. Those, yeah, but type niggas. There's no buts here. Except the BBL Drizzy. So, yeah. You're killing me. Still hasn't learned. You get what you get and you don't get upset. And that's their phrase. You're killing me. He absolutely has. Yes. 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 You don't do that. You don't do that. It's very Diddy. It's a very specific kind of personality whose focus is on, I'm going to have intimate relations with a woman that a very specific man has already been with. Because that man has been with her. Oh, no, that's my bread and butter. I don't. I do not. I don't have the luxury, unfortunately. Yes, I'm always in one existential crisis about society or another. Yeah, I don't have the personal or professional luxury to not be aware of how many dumb fucking people there are in the world. But there's, passive dumb, there's bystander dumb, and then there's stupid with intent, stupid with a plan, stupid with a goal. And it happens at all levels of society, and it's terrifying. And my full thing that I say is never underestimate stupid people with a plan, especially if they have the resources to affect that plan. They might not get what it is that they originally set out for, but they're going to leave here with something, and it will be to the detriment of other people. In this case, the detriment is to everyone in America because this case directly touches freedom of speech, freedom of expression directly, and could have a disastrous impact on it in the arts, plural period, in expression, period. And that is a massive problem. Interpreting lyrics as literal, that becomes the rule of law. Unacceptable. I'm I wouldn't say that. I don't think he gives a shit about hip hop or rap, and I don't think he ever has. I don't think he really gets it. Um, I don't think he ever has. I don't think he ever has really gotten it. And no, I don't think Drake gives a shit about anything other than Drake. Anything. Everything is just a means to something else. Everything is transactional. Always him always wanting that. Always. And I think this is one of the reasons why him and J. Cole are kindred souls. Is because they have the same complexes, they have the same insecurities, they have the same identity crises. Yeah. And they have this kind of arrogant determination that we don't get it. And with Drake, it's like, we don't get it, so he's not fucking with us. And with J. Cole, it's like, well, let me explain it to you again in 24 different songs because I don't think you guys understand. Nigga, we understand you better than you understand yourself. That's the whole problem. Couldn't be me. And I don't think people do let it slide at this point. I mean, I see people having, you know, casual or intentional conversation about the problematic nature of J. Cole's lyrics, kind of period, whether it's the current project or when you just go back into the Wayback Machine. He's got problematic visuals. And I think now more than ever, people point to those things and are aware of those things because, you know, a lot of his fans are older, mature, and they live in the real world. And they don't have the luxury of acting like they didn't hear it. So it doesn't serve him well that he keeps coming at us like, "Hey, black people, let me go ahead and explain to you what it is like to have a white mom." Bro, bro. The fact that you could call yourself half white or half black, I felt like everything I said about J. Cole up until that point, about his racial identity crisis, I was like, "I'm done. I don't that he proved every point that I have ever made." Race is a social construct. It does not matter if you have one white parent. In the real world, when the police stop you, they're not looking at you like, "Oh, mulatto." They must have one white parent, so maybe they're not a criminal. That's not how race works. Fundamentally, not how it works. I can't even pretend that that comparison is serious, and I know it's not your fault. I know that that is, what has been said out there of, "Well, this is his Mr. Morale," and the fuck? No, it's not. It doesn't even compare. It doesn't even compare in seriousness, in depth. It A fucking joke. Jermaine over 24 tracks. Hey, blacks, let me holler at you. That's how y'all people say it, right? Right. Yuck fuss. You gonna respect the mulatto. Jermaine Cole. Me. Will I though? Will I though? Yeah. There's not enough anything in that album for it to even be considered on the same level as a Mr. Morale. So yeah. Two peas in a pod. That Aubrey and that Jermaine. Two peas in a pod. Yes, yes. How you feeling about Baby Keem's mini documentary, chat? I believe he set up a website. He's gonna have physical merch. He's going on tour. Love it. Love it. Love it. Austie? Bro, Mr. Morale goes through his marriage, his family, afterlife, trauma. Kendrick wipes the floor with J. Cole on Mr. Morale. It's not even close. It's not even close. I agree. It is like that's why I said it's not even the same level. It's not even close. You love his Aunt Connie. Cinema. Like the documentary. It's raw, it's honest. Can't wait for the album. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, it I mean it captures you in a bubble of time, that's for sure. Miss Kofi says that documentary had me in my feelings. Our family lost our youngest uncle to crack. So I was like, ooh, child. Yeah. King Link says, I'm hell excited. I got my merch order in. Good, 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 good. Better than any of the Iceman episodes. Again, not even on the same level. Yep. Bill's Billio. I love that. Bill's Billio says, we hip hop fans have been fed these past 2 years. We really have. It's been really beautiful. Really beautiful. Not just music, but we've gotten some visuals and some performances that have just been like some of the best that our art has ever had to offer. And I love that for us. That's great for us. Yay for us. The fall off is break room therapy. Is one of the best descriptors I have heard so far. I'm bulletproof. I definitely did not see a single episode. I saw still shots, and that was enough for me. Yeah. If I watched a single episode, I don't remember. And the only thing that I do remember is Pinocchio. And I'm not sure if that was supposed to be like the main thing that I took from the entire situation was Pinocchio. I don't think that was a goal. I could be wrong. Were they that long? Hour long? I didn't think they were that long. God damn. Producing a riveting hour is hard. It's too easy, says Keem did in 10 minutes what Iceman couldn't do in multiple hour-long episodes. That alone shows you the difference in art and approach. Yes. The Pinocchios will always be hilarious. I just don't think that was supposed to be the thing that I was really supposed to, take away. Hi, Little Bitty One. Little Bitty One says the battle was the beginning of entering the age of substance, and now we here now. Yeah, I hope so, because the age of stupid is tired. Really, really tired. So Drake dropped a snippet. We haven't talked about this. Drake dropped a snippet the day J. Cole's album came out. What's it called again? Oh yeah, The Fall Off. Oh my God. I could not remember that to save my life. I almost called it Untitled earlier. That's so bad. I'm supposed to remember that it's called The Fall Off. Anyway, Drake posted a snippet the day The Fall Off dropped. What'd you think, chat? I didn't listen to it, so. What did you think of it? I'll tell you what, I've had nobody say anything about that in the chat. Maybe twice, but it was in the context of this boy thirsty for attention, dropping stuff right before J. Cole, right? I've seen several people come into the chat since Baby Keem said, "Hey, we about to do it," and say, "What do you think? What about this? Are you gonna this?" Which I think is fascinating. Haven't heard it. I think it's great that I haven't listened to it. Well, damn. Same bullshit, complaining, and no accountability. Okay. Wow. The life alert. I've fallen off and I can't get up. The chat stays unmatched. The nod off. Wow. I refuse to sully my ears with Drake foolishness. Original Cypher high five. Agree 1000%. I'm not going to do that to myself. I don't care. So, yeah. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Confidence is gone. Well, I mean, yeah. Yeah. He is so immature. That's all I can say. Is Drake is super, super, super fucking immature. It's breathtaking. Hello, beautiful. Pink 8 Starburst says he referenced NLU, which is dumb. Oh my God. We had a impromptu conversation here about what Nicki's next album is going to be called and what some of the tracks were going to be called and who should appear on some of the skits. I wish I could remember which live that was because I do not. But nobody was here. Says still waiting for Nicki to drop My President is White, This Pussy Print Pink for the summer. Well, remember now, she's not going to release it until she exposes the RICO investigation into Billboard and apparently others, because there's got to be others if it's a RICO. But whatever. Fucking narc. How can you be this smart and champion a grown-ass dude with a song named Peekaboo? That is one of the stupidest, most non-applicable questions anybody has ever asked me. And it's based on a false premise. And that's why you got the airlock. Because that translates into, you're playing in my fucking face. And I'm not in the mood. Hold on to something. Oh God, is that the live? Nickelodeon's like, I remember. You said Nikki gargles for citizenship. Yeah, that is the title of the live. So if you want to hear us, not even us, the chat, go ham on what Nikki's next album, what song titles could be, and so forth. The live is called Nikki Gargles for Citizenship, Ray J's last year. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the $5 contribution, beautiful. I appreciate you. Colby, you have no idea. They come over here and have full on meltdowns. Okay. Cole fans too. Full on meltdowns. It's crazy. Apparently, they spend a lot of time discussing my opinion in other places, which I think is also crazy. But hey, do you, whatever. But I don't know anything. I don't know why they spend so much time clipping my shit and put it in on other platforms and talking about it if I don't know anything, but okay. I would not describe myself as a champion of Kendrick Lamar. No. No. What I am is a critic of Aubrey Drake Graham. The only people I champion, okay, my children, my partner, Beyonce. Why not? There's a difference. I am a critic of tomfoolery, okay? Shenanigans? Oh, yes. I'm going to be here to call them out every single time. Yeah. Yeah. I don't champion Kendrick Lamar. I very much appreciate and respect his art. And I think Drake is a fucking idiot. And I think he is a danger to hip hop, let alone a danger to young women. But, that's an aside. I am a critic of gobbledygook. Very good. Oh, always. Oh, for sure, for sure. Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, because that was part of his persona, right? Part of his persona was supposed to be the the rapper with feeling, the rapper with emotion, but that was supposed to translate into a sensitive lover boy. And no, he's a dick. He's not in tune with women at all. He's not the sensitive lover boy. He trades watches for punani time. But yeah, he's always been a little sensitive bitch boy. I know. I know. I literally have a chapter called Drake is a bitch ass nigga. Yeah, he always has been. He was raised to be that way. Mm-hmm. He was supposed to be the emo rapper, the smooth debonair man, and with the nice suits and the velvet, lapels, and the smoldery look to his, square jaw before he did whatever fuck he did to his face and all of that stuff. Yeah. That was somehow supposed to just naturally transition into him being like a George Clooney, silver fox kind of. The problem is Drake as a man has no evolution, no depth, no growth, no transformation. Meanwhile, we've all been several different versions of ourselves since the first time in our lives that we heard a Drake song. You are not the same person. You are a different version of yourself, probably several different versions of yourself from the first time that you heard a Drake song. Hopefully, you're more mature, more responsible. Maybe you have a family. Maybe you've changed your mind about some things that you had opinions on before. Maybe you've learned new things that you didn't know before that you never thought you'd care about. You've evolved. Furry Bee Production said, as an organism, he has had no evolution. Why don't he cocoon or something? This is what I'm saying. I said, Drake needs to leave for at least 2 years, and he needs to do an apprenticeship. Yeah, he needs to do an apprenticeship. Woodworking, bricklaying, something like that. Where he knows nothing, first of all, knows nothing. Has to learn under other people to teach him. And it results in him building physical things with his hands. Go away. Learn to play a guitar, you know? Yeah. I'm pretty sure I did say that. Go build some houses. Yeah, go build some houses. Oh, boy. I had no idea either. I was not prepared for, there were a couple people that I had to block because they were just being insufferable dicks in the comment section. You are implying that J. Cole, I'm not implying shit. I said what I said, and I can only respond to what I said. And if I have to repeat that several times, you're not actually trying to have a conversation or engage with what I said. You're just trying to wag your finger at me and tell me I don't get it. And I'm not going for that. You either come at me for what it is that I actually said, not what you interpreted, not what you heard, not what you think I was implying, because I'm a pretty fucking straight shooter. I say what the fuck I say, and I stand on it. And if I change my mind, or if I'm presented with more information or new information, I evolve my position. And there's no shame in that. I had people coming at me, their comments would start with things like, I am under the impression that you are the kind of woman. I'm under the impression that you are the type of person. don't give a fuck what your impression is of me. Are you going to address what I said? No? Then why the fuck are you on my channel? Because you're in your feelings about your favorite artist, J. Cole? I don't give a shit. That is not my problem. And it's problematic that how quickly people rely on, oh, she's old, she doesn't get it. No, baby, you're young. You don't fucking get it. It's easier for me to dismiss things because I've been here longer. I've heard that album. I've seen that artist. Hell, I know that man. I'm not going to pussyfoot around. I'm not going devil's advocate. I got a lot of those too. Well, devil's advocate, we don't do that here. The devil don't need an advocate. I'm entitled to not like it. You're not entitled to insult my intelligence just because I don't like it, just because I think it's shallow. Because I think the mix wasn't that good, because I think the intros to the songs were too long, because I think I'm entitled to believe those things and think those things. It's my opinion. You're not entitled to just tell me I'm fucking stupid because that's my opinion, because you really like it. Because then you feel like I'm calling you stupid, when in fact, throughout that entire live, I made it very clear to people. If you were in the comment section like, I like this song, I wasn't berating people. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like that? I don't care. You like, good for you. It gave something to you. Good for you. So I don't insult J. Cole's fans as a group of people. I'll insult you as an individual if you come up in here talking crazy to me. Drake fans, on the other hand, are irrational. Completely irrational. And willfully and intentionally ignorant. And reason and stupid don't sit at the same table. We don't share snacks. I'm not playing with you. I'm not one of your little friends. I'm not going to do all that. So pull yourselves together about your little favorite artist. Yeah, and I don't take it personally when, when people are like, I can't stand Beyonce. Like, well, I knew there was something wrong with you. Not everybody can be perfect. That's your flaw that you got to struggle with for the rest of your life. I ain't got to struggle with that. I don't take it personally. I also don't revere her on some pedestal as some person who could never do anything wrong or doesn't have aspects to her life that are morally objectionable. I don't do that with celebrities. I mean, I commend you for being able to tell the difference. So, yeah. All right, y'all. Got to go. It was good to hang out with y'all. Anytime we get to talk about either of those two gentlemen, it's gonna be a fun time. We're gonna get some off in the process. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate you. It's good to see you. Have a good rest of the day. I may see you again this week. I hope to. That sounds like a good use of time. But have a wonderful day, and I will see you very soon. Peace.